Welcome back to the channel, Adventures Through Climate Change with your host, Trevor Snyder. That is me. I am actually the only person. I don't even know why I introduced myself. I don't think it really matters. I mean, if you guys have seen me before, you know who I am. If you've seen one of my other channels, you know who I am. Otherwise, I'm just doing this for fun. This channel right here, we're watching other people's videos. I call them breakdown videos. Other people call them, what do they call them? I don't remember what they call them. Anyways, I break down other people's videos, and we try to figure out where they're right, where they're wrong, and more than likely, I'm probably wrong the entire time. But you get to hear other people's perspective on the videos. We listen to people I disagree with, people I agree with. I am really trying to figure out where I sit in this environment of climate change, in the fact that I have an energy background. I worked in the oil fields for many years, and it was very beneficial to my family. And I think that we're going to need oil. I don't think we have a good means to replace the oil industry, because even when we do get off of it as like a fuel source entirely, which I don't foresee anytime soon, we got to have an answer to it, right? And we just haven't. This entire time that we've had this channel, the last 3 months that we've been doing this channel, or however long it's been, we have not found an energy source that can replace oil. I mean, they can supplement to some degree, but the amount of oil it takes to produce most of these things and then keep them running and maintained and stuff, most of these other items, wind turbines, electric cars, you name it, right? Solar panels. By the time they actually pay themselves off on the carbon cost, it's like, well, I mean, we're still just. So I don't know. I don't know if we have a good answer for anything at this point, but I listen to both sides, and we try to diagnose what they're saying. This is a TED education doc from 2 years ago. Can we create the perfect farm? And the answer to that is no. No. I think the Earth, God, they're the only ones that are going to create the perfect farm. I love how we try to manipulate everything, though. Let's get into this. Until you begin to the.
About 10,000 years ago, humans began to farm. This agricultural revolution was a turning point in our history that enabled people to settle, build, and create. In short, agriculture enabled the existence of civilization. Today, approximately 40% of our planet is farmland. Spread all over the world, these agricultural
It's
lands
a
are the
lot.
pieces to a global puzzle we are all facing. In the future, how can we feed every member of a growing population a healthy diet? Meeting this goal will require nothing short of a second agricultural revolution. The first agricultural revolution was characterized by expansion and exploitation, feeding people at the expense of forests, wildlife, and water, and destabilizing the climate in the process. That's not an option the next time around. Agriculture depends on a stable climate, with predictable seasons and weather patterns. This means we can't keep expanding our agricultural lands, because doing so will undermine the environmental conditions that make agriculture possible in the first place. Instead, the next agricultural revolution will have to increase the output of our existing farmland for the long term, while protecting biodiversity, conserving water, and reducing pollution and greenhouse gas emissions. So what will the future farms look like? This drone is part of a fleet that monitors the crops below. The farm may look haphazard, but it's a delicately engineered use of the land that intertwines crops and livestock with wild habitats. Conventional farming methods cleared large swathes of land and planted them with a single crop, eradicating wildlife and emitting huge amounts of greenhouse gases in the process. This approach aims to correct damage. Meanwhile, moving among the crops, teams of field robots apply fertilizer in targeted doses. Inside the soil, hundreds of sensors gather data on nutrients and water levels. This information reduces unnecessary water use and tells farmers where they should apply more and less fertilizer, instead of causing pollution by showering it across the whole farm. But the farms of the future won't be all sensors and robots. These technologies are designed to help us produce food in a way that works with the environment rather than against it, taking into account the nuances of local ecosystems. Lower cost agricultural practices can also serve those same goals and are much more accessible to many farmers. In fact, many such practices are already in use today and stand to have an increasingly large impact as more farmers adopt them. In Costa Rica, farmers have intertwined farmland with tropical habitat so successfully that they've significantly contributed to doubling the country's forest cover. This provides food and habitat for wildlife, as well as natural pollination and pest control from the birds and insects these farms attract, producing food while restoring the planet. In the United States, ranchers are raising cattle on grasslands composed of native species, generating a valuable protein source using production methods that store carbon and protect biodiversity. In Bangladesh, Cambodia, and Nepal, new approaches to rice production may dramatically decrease greenhouse gas emissions in the future. Rice is a staple food for 3 billion people, and
Wow.
the main source of livelihood for millions of households. More than 90% of rice is grown in flooded paddies, which use a lot of water and release 11% of annual methane emissions, which accounts for 1 to 2% of total annual greenhouse gas emissions globally. By experimenting with new strains of rice, irrigating less, and adopting less labor-intensive ways of planting seeds, farmers in these countries have already increased their incomes and crop yields while cutting down on greenhouse gas emissions. In Zambia, numerous organizations are investing in locally specific methods to improve crop production, reduce forest loss, and improve livelihoods for local farmers. These efforts are projected to increase crop yield by almost a quarter over the next few decades. If combined with methods to combat deforestation in the region, they could move the country toward a resilient, climate-focused agricultural sector. And in India, where up to 40% of post-harvest food is lost or wasted due to poor infrastructure, farmers have already started to implement solar-powered cold storage capsules that help thousands of rural farmers preserve their produce and become a viable part of the supply chain. It will take all of these methods, from the most high-tech to the lowest cost, to revolutionize farming. High-tech interventions stand to amplify climate and conservation-oriented approaches to farming, and large producers will need to invest in implementing these technologies. Meanwhile, we'll have to expand access to the lower-cost methods for smaller-scale farmers. This vision of future farming will also require a global shift toward more plant-based diets and huge reductions in food loss and waste, both of which will reduce pressure on the land and allow farmers to do more with what they have available. If we optimize food production, both on land and sea, we can feed humanity within the environmental limits of the Earth. But there's a very small margin of error, and it will take unprecedented global cooperation and coordination of the agricultural lands we have today. An agricultural revolution can start with you. Join Countdown, a global initiative bringing together scientists, activists, urban planners, farmers, business leaders, artists, and you. Together, we'll champion bold solutions to the climate crisis and turn those ideas into decisive action. Find out how you can be part of building a cleaner future by visiting ed.ted.com/countdown.
I'm not eating just vegetables. That ain't gonna happen. Okay, that's not how our bodies were built, and we can have that conversation anytime you'd like. That's not gonna happen. Um, we do have to figure out a better means to feed everybody and keep the populace fed in a healthier way. I mean, to the point where I love meat. That's what I'm going to eat. I think it's what our bodies were designed to eat. But the like what they feed the cows, how they house them and keep them, that stuff, it has to be addressed, right? It's still sickening. Like, you can still agree and disagree at the same time, right? So I do think we need to address certain things like that, and I do think that as things go along, we need to be better stewards of the earth and what we're doing and whatnot. But as far as this video goes, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't really see like the perfect farm in there, or like how we'd get there and how you expect people to be there. But I guess maybe that's for another video. With that being said, I hope I earned your subscription today. If not, maybe on the next video or the one after that, or possibly 7 videos from now. If not, either like or dislike, and I'd love a comment. I'll read it for sure. Hopefully reply, and I hope to catch you in the next video.